I've probably spent thousands of dollars already this year testing hundreds of AI tools. Most of them I deleted within a week. Heck, some of them I deleted within a day. So in this video, I want to break down the 5 tools that I literally use every day and that have saved me 20 or more hours every single week, plus thousands of hours across my team, and made us so much more money. I know there's a lot of hype out there. A lot of things are real and not real. So I want to break down the actual use cases on what we use it for and why these tools are there for us every single day. And they're an absolute no-brainer for me across my businesses. I'm also not trying to hype any kind of small tools or whatever. I've been using most of these tools for years now. Literally take it or leave it. So the first tool is literally what runs my operations every single day. And no, it's not ChatGPT. The second tool is what I use for my client communication, for my prospects. Everything comes into one place. The third tool, which I've only been using for a couple of weeks now, has become my second brain. So I think that is literally the most interesting part of the whole thing here. Tool number 4 changed how I have every sales call, every client call. It's an absolute no-brainer for me. And number 5 is the database that glues everything all together across my organizations and my personal life now, ironically. So tool number 1 is, you've probably already heard of it, Claude Code, right? And the way I use that is within anti-gravity, which weirdly is another tool that I could be mentioning here, but is really not about anti-gravity, because anti-gravity is just a fancy way of packaging this tool. Claude Code is actually run in your terminal. So we can open up a terminal window here and we can just say Claude, and then it will go spin up Claude and in this folder, and then I can chat with Claude, similar to like what you've known on the web interface or within the desktop app that you can use on your computer. In here, if you use it in a IDE or somewhere where you can just have all your folders in one place, like you can see here on the left, you can see I have my agents, you can see I have Claude, all of this stuff. If you have this in one place, you usually package that, and for easy management, you put it into an IDE. For example, like VS Code, or there's a bunch of other ones out there. Anti-gravity is something that Google released just a couple of weeks ago. I absolutely love it because it also has this agent mode here, which we can spin up new agents and we can talk to them. And here we can use Gemini. We can also use Claude Code. We can also use our own model. More on that in a second. What really powers all of this is using Claude in your terminal. Okay, so this is a terminal window like I've shown you before. You can spin up more of them, and here we can say Claude, and then we will just connect with another chat interface. And the cool thing about this is we can have multiple at the same time. So we can spin up one here, we can rename it, and we can say we're working on XYZ here, and then we're gonna go open up a new window and work on something else in here while this one finishes, and so on. Finally, we can have 10 of these open. We can work on 10 different things at the same time and get a lot of work done. The beauty of this is as well, it lives in my terminal. So that means it can control my entire Mac. It can control my files and everything. And I will get into that into point 3 when I'm talking about my second brain, which is why this is so freaking cool. So for example, in here, I've built a bunch of tools that actually access things in my iCloud and on my Mac. So for example, here, I've built a tool that I can literally voice talk on my iPhone. I can say, okay, today I had a great day. This is what I'm thinking about. And I should get back to that client, and I should remember to close that deal. And I should remember to talk to my employees at the all hands this Friday. This is what I want to tell them. Whatever it may be, right? I can say it into my voice note, which I can literally toggle by pulling down this thing and pressing here on my iPhone, and it will record my voice note. And then I come in here and I can just tell it, hey, why don't you go ahead and process my voice note? The tool I use there, again, another tool is called Whisperflow. I just absolutely love it. The way it transcribes my voice to text. It does it really fast, gives me everything I need. I'm literally not typing anything at all anymore. You see here, now it's just in the terminal. It's just using my voice. I'm not coding anything. I'm not technical. It's just taking my voice and it's putting it together. You can see here, it's giving you some interesting quotes. I replace them with quotes of my own here just to keep me motivated while I'm working through these things. And then you see here, it will say, okay, now transcription done. So to explain what's going on in the back end, right? What it did now is it went and it collected that voice note from the iCloud, and it got a summary of everything that I said here in this voice notes, and it's putting it together into these particular strategy documents and filing them in the right place in my folder structure. I'll explain more when we go to the third tool. But for now, I want to go into the second tool, which is probably the most important tool. I've been using this before AI. This is the brain of the operation. But like any brain, you need a body. Where do you feed the information? Where do you collect the data? And how can you actually do more of what you're doing? So if you're an e-com, that may be a Shopify store or something where you have all your data. If you're running an agency or any kind of service-based business, you probably have leads, prospects, clients, data, right? That all needs to go into one place. Ideally, you want to have a CRM, and that's what I use GoHighLevel for. So I can just dig in here real quick. You've probably heard of it before. I used to work for one of the biggest agencies before, selling Salesforce implementations for enterprise companies. Salesforce is a great tool, but for many businesses under 50 million in revenue, GoHighLevel really does it all. And it will be way cheaper than Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever. And they're really so innovative. They're bringing out new solutions, new AI tools every single day. And it's absolutely crazy. It's replaced so many other tools that I used to use, like Calendly. I used to use ManyChat for Instagram automations and all of those other tools. It's replaced them all. Okay, you can see here I have a bunch of Instagram conversations because these are DM automations that are flowing naturally. I have calendars here so I can link my calendars. I have contacts so I can go in here and I have all of my contacts in here. You see it pulls in from Instagram and stuff like that. I can go do invoices and payments, and it really connects everything, right? They've released a bunch of AI solutions now. You can see they have this labs function, which literally every day they're bringing out new solutions, kind of like Claude Code, which is very difficult to do because it needs to also withhold and not become completely buggy. So I have my pipeline in here. I have my funnels, my landing pages, everything. And right now you can use both of them together. So you can use Claude Code, you can spin up a landing page, and then you can integrate it into your CRM. So all of your customer data comes here, your email comes here. And with that, you kind of have a safe place. I don't know if you've heard, but a lot of people have also been getting banned because they're directly connecting their Meta API or their Instagram API with these tools. Sometimes you just run into a wall with that because they ban you, they block you, you don't use the API properly. So here you kind of have a safe space to connect to these APIs and to have everything into one place. And then you can use it for all your customer facing stuff. So your lead generation, your prospecting, your opportunities, following up, automating stuff. You still don't want to build all of that stuff on your own, right? And it's really easy to do so in here. They're launching a bunch of AI tools every single day. You have automated voice chat, AI assistant, chat bots, whatever, everything you need to do lead generation. So everything lives in here. It literally starts at $97 a month. I'm also going to link it below. And if you want a higher plan to have multiple accounts and stuff like that, you can do so too. But it's really not necessary at the beginning. As you get started, this will completely be enough to go through that. So if you're a coach, consultant, service-based business, nail salon, even you have a brick and mortar business, anything that has anything to do with services, contractors, design build companies, whatever it may be, you would want to use something like a CRM, like GoHighLevel, where you can have all your automations, where you can automatically DM people on Instagram or get back to people on your ads, send them emails, and so on. This is just the place where you want everything to live. And I'm going to show you in some next steps how we actually automate this and how we integrate with GoHighLevel so that everything works on autopilot from you, and you can also use this. You don't need to be super technical to understand how to go through these workflows and how to automate this for your business. Okay, so we know Claude Code is the brain. We know GoHighLevel is the body where every contact lives and where everything is together. And now, how do we tie this all together, right? Where do my voice notes go that I recorded before? How do we brain dump this, and how do we understand how this all fits together? I don't know about you, but I've been struggling with note taking my entire life. I have Apple Notes, I have reminders, I put notes in every frickin' place possible. Sometimes I'll record voice notes and then they just sit there and nothing happens with them. I used to use Evernote. I used to use web clippers when they came out, right? Because I have a little bit of shiny object syndrome. So I go out there and I want to try all these new things. Then they just sit there and I don't use them properly, right? So I've been looking for this system my entire life. And I know once you start using this, if you haven't heard of it yet, or if you've heard of it and you didn't take the leap yet and you didn't really think, oh, Claude Code, this, that, I don't want to get into it. I'm telling you, this is going to change your life. If you're an entrepreneur, if you were using different kinds of note-taking tools across your business and you feel you never found the right fit and you always were distracted, this is it. The tool's called Obsidian. Don't skip this. Maybe you've heard it before, you didn't really go in. So I'm explaining it to you right now, how crazy this tool is. Apparently it's been around for quite a while. However, as with all of these tools, if you need to go set up everything on your own, it makes it quite difficult. So kind of like Evernote, right? Where you needed to put all the tags there and everything, and it just takes a while, right? Until you get your system in place. You need to organize it on your own. You go put all the tags there, you put all the information there, you try to make more notes, and eventually you get fed up and you're like, this is just too difficult and it's complicated. So if you're not super hyper organized and OCD, you're going to get overwhelmed with these tools quickly. However, now, since a couple of weeks ago, Obsidian has CLI integration, which literally means command line integration with Claude Code. So you can use it for everything that you want to do with AI, and AI does it for you. Now we get into the nitty gritty. I'm just going to share everything that we've been doing before. We took these voice notes, and as you can see in this chat real quick, right, it took the voice note and it put it in here in this MD file. Now, if you don't know what an MD file is, an MD file is just literally just markdown file, which is ironically the best type of format file that AI likes to read. Okay, I'll show you what this looks like. So if we open this up here in this terminal, this is what the file looks like, right? It looks like a piece of code. It has tags here, you see, and then it says what I say here, reflecting, and then it has action items and what I want to do. So here was talking about my content strategy and what I want to do with my content, and it automatically created this note. So this note is called here 2026-0401. So with the date, content, FOMO, strategy, that I just was voice prompting here into my voice note, what I want to do and my action items for it. Okay, now into Obsidian. Obsidian is just this interface where I can look at these notes in a very nice format, and it's nicely organized. You can see here all of the folders and the structure. I have my ideas, people, meetings, projects, all of this personal stuff and business stuff all lives in here. I have business projects, meetings, people, everything is in here. Okay. And now AI, every time I do a voice note on my iPhone, it will literally pull that voice note and put it in here in a structured way. As you can see, I obviously didn't say, add the data as a title and put tags here and everything. So it's all in one place, and it creates action items here, right? And it will consolidate these action items. So if it had action items from yesterday, it will pull these all together on my daily briefing. And as I check them off, it will automatically go check them off, and I will not have those action items on my list anymore. I don't know if you were ever looking for such a system, but I was looking for this my entire life, and I would never ever want to look back. Again, I have these action items in here. It just bullet pointed everything that I mentioned in this voice note. And now we get to the crazy part of the system. In Obsidian, you have something like Wikipedia backlinks. Okay, so if you haven't been on Wikipedia before and you haven't clicked on these links that go to another Wikipedia page, they're just backlinks that are linking to other pieces of content. So you can see in here, I have my voice note that I recorded. So I can click on it and it will literally take me there. And here again, you can see it's beautifully tagged. It's voice memos, business strategy, marketing, ideas, get reset. So it put in here the summary, it put my key points, my action items, everything is nicely reflected here. I even have here, I have the voice memo linked. So I can go click on here and it will show me the memo of the day again. Okay, so these are all these back and forth action items that I can click on. And now it even gives you a beautiful way to look at this. If you go click on here, open graph, you can see it interlinks all of the different components that you have. So you see here, I have scripts, and then I have all these different scripts for content. I have here YouTube, and it will show me all these different things that are interconnected with each other. So as you grow with your vault and you feed it more and more information about your life, your business, everything that you want to give it, then it will go create these interconnections via backlinks. Okay. And this makes it really easy if you've seen content about Obsidian before and you've heard people talking about, well, Obsidian is literally your never ending context window. This is what they're talking about. If I say, hey, I would like you to look at my YouTube stuff and get an overview of everything that I'm doing on YouTube, it will go back and it will see the transcripts, it will see my ideation, it will see everything interlinked so that it can give me the best possible answer based on what it knows about me. The more and more I work within my vault here and the more information I feed it about my strategy, my business, my YouTube channel, whatever it may be, it will learn and understand and grow from this. The answers that I get from Claude Code working in my my Founder OS directory here, where I have all of these notes stored and linked with each other, my answers get so much better. It is night and day from when you're in a chat window with ChatGPT that forgets everything about everything you said before and has this memory file, or within a Claude chat or wherever it is, and it forgets literally everything. In here, you can work with every LLM and it can go into all of your files, all of your notes, everything. It will find it all for you. It will structure your answers based on your past context, and it will give you output that will absolutely blow your mind. So Obsidian is completely free, and the good thing is these are all just files, so you can take it wherever you want, right? Obsidian is just a layer that helps you look at these files nicely and structure them, kind of like a Notion that you have locally. So this is all on my local machine. This is not going anywhere. This is all with me, and it cannot be taken away from me. I'm not sharing it within the cloud. Of course, I'm using Claude Code here, but you need to do some concessions here and there, but you're not really putting it on somebody else's service. This is all locally here with me. So for those of you that want to really take your privacy to the next level, you could use this with a local model as well. You wouldn't need to use Claude Code. You can download your own model and just use it with that LLM, which will already allow you to use Obsidian with AI. Now, we looked at the brain, which is Claude Code. We looked at GoHighLevel, which we use for all the data. And then we have Obsidian, which ties this all together. But so how do you really get amazing outputs for your clients, for your business, whatever it may be that you're doing, is if you have good data. Something that I would never want to be without ever again is a note taker within my meetings. So wherever I go, I'll have Fathom. There's also other good ones like Fireflies or whatever it may be. I just kind of stuck with Fathom. It was free. It now has an API and everything, so it automatically pulls that in. So whenever I have a meeting, my note taker is with me in that meeting. If it's a sales call, a client call, whatever it may be, it takes notes on that entire meeting. It pulls the transcript and it puts it into Obsidian, and it will connect it. It will debrief it. It will connect it with my sales training. It will give me feedback on it. It will say, hey, you did a good job. You did a bad job. This is what we need to do better. If we need to follow up with those people, right? If we need to follow up with prospects, with clients, whatever it may be, it will consolidate that information. It will write follow-up emails. It will work with other agents, and more on that later, right? To help them, give them the right information. Okay. So for example, within one of our organizations where we work with high-end design, build, and construction companies, right? We have an agent that will actually follow up with these prospects. That agent will go pull information from Fathom with meetings that we had with our clients, with our prospects, whatever it may be. It will pull that information and it will write personalized follow-up messages on that transcript and on that information that we were talking about in the call. I'm going to link it below. It's literally fathom.ai. Again, use whatever tool you're using right now. Important is that you have an API and you have a good transcript that you can use for your data, right? Because the better your data, the better your outputs, and the better your delivery, and the better your growth, whatever it may be, is. Independently what tool you use, you want to use something that you can leverage from the data. Now, talking about data, this is literally the last tool. And I realize there's many ways to pull together data across your organization. I've done a bunch of things, right? From simple JSON files where I structured the data to building simple SQL databases with Claude and ChatGPT and whatnot on my local machine. But I realized really quickly that this data doesn't need to just be accessible by me, but it also needs to be accessible by other people within my organization. So for example, my sales team needs it. My content team needs different content information, client information, wins, feedback, content, videos, whatever it may be, right? So this cannot always be on my local machine, and it cannot always be available just to me. It needs to be accessible to other people within our organization, and sometimes maybe even accessible to other people. So for example, if you're building a web app, or if you're building a SaaS application, if you want to go out there and give other people access to some of the information that you have, you need to put it into a place where it's accessible to all those other people. And the easiest way to do that is through a database like Supabase. You go create a key, an API key that you throw into Claude Code. You leave that in something you call your env file. So if you go into Claude Code, you have this env file. I'm not going to open it up right now because it has literally all my keys in there. But when you click on it, you basically define, okay, here's my token, right? So you can connect all of your tools that you use, and then you can use Supabase to put all of your data in there. So you can connect that token with your Claude Code Code and say, okay, I want to build a database where I'm going to put all my Fathom meetings in there, and I want you to structure it by client, by prospect, whatever, right? And then you can query this data. So for example, you can say, okay, now I'd like you to go pull from this database all of the client conversations, and I'd like you to pull all of the objections that the prospects ever had, right? And based on these objections, I'd like you to put together a script for me, a video that we can use in a pre-call sequence where we answer all of these objections. Or you want to say, hey, why don't you connect to GoHighLevel, pull out all of the prospects that, signed up for one of our free lead magnets in the last 6 months, and give me an overview of all of those that we can follow up with them in a personalized way. And then you can pull all this information into the database, and you can have applications and other users access this data. The easiest way to do so is you put it in a database and you deploy it to something called GitHub, where you can just deploy certain pieces of code onto GitHub where you can access it. You can give access to your team members. You can even deploy it publicly, and anyone can access that code and can go access whatever information you have in there. So think of Supabase as a way to connect GHL, GoHighLevel, with Claude Code, with Obsidian, with Fathom, with literally everything, right? Obsidian is now just living locally, but if you want to have access across your organization, across your employees, across your team, whatever it may be, you want to give them access through something like Supabase. They also have a really generous free tier. I think they start charging you once you have like a certain amount of dashboards or whatever it may be. They also allow you to store things with vector databases. I don't know the exact science behind it. It's literally just a way of compressing a bunch of data so that you can easily store huge pieces of data. So imagine the example that I did before, where you have all the Fathom transcripts, or sometimes like 2-hour long meetings, right? Thousands, millions of words. This doesn't really make sense to put this like in a spreadsheet or something like that. So they have these vector storage cubes where you can put all this data and it can go query it in chunks, right? So it will take chunks of this conversation. It will put it down in a certain piece and you can go query it. You can say, hey, what did I say to Mr. Johnson? I remember I had a call with him back in 2024, and it will go query this database and it will go find it. And then it will be able to retrieve the entire conversation and feed you back that information. There's obviously hundreds more tools that we use on a daily basis that help us do better work and help us sign more clients and help our organizations grow way faster than it was ever possible ever before. But these 5 tools are really part of the foundation, tools that I use every day in so many workflows. I'm going to try to break that down in the next video that I'm going to link somewhere up here. We'll talk more about how we use this across our ad campaigns, our ad library and stuff like that, which I think is probably what most people are looking out for. How can we use this to run more profitable campaigns? Either way, these tools I could not do without anymore, are really literally part of every workflow. So if you want more of this, subscribe and see you in the next one.